Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chesapeake Public Schools College Fair. We're so excited to have you participating in this event. This first session is a panel. We're joined by some wonderful guests who will introduce themselves in just a moment. A few housekeeping items. My name is Sarah. I'm the facilitator for today. Your camera and microphone are off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. You can use, and we encourage you to use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Don't forget, this is just one of many different sessions happening. So go back and check the website and sign up for more sessions after this presentation. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/Chesapeake. I'd now like to turn it over to our wonderful panel here, starting with Arthur.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and welcome everyone. Welcome, Chesapeake. My name is Arthur Kelly. I am the program specialist for Access College Foundation. I service Grassville High School 2 days a week on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I am joined by some wonderful coworkers that will each introduce themselves. And we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Gabe Hall there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for once again coming out to this college panel tonight. Hopefully we can answer a lot of your questions. But I am Gabriel Hall, and I am the Access Advisor at Deep Creek High School.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Hall.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Natasha Saki. I am the Access Counselor at Indian River High School. I'm so thrilled that you all taking the time to join with us this evening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saki. And we have another Hall brother there, Mr. Hall.
Hey guys, this is Mr. Hall here, Access College Advisor from Oscar Smith High School. Definitely looking forward to tonight.
Thank you so much. And again, if you're just joined us, we represent Access College Foundation. We service all the high schools in Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, Portsmouth, Norfolk, and we're also on the Eastern Shore and Southampton County. We are just going to do a panel tonight, open-ended questions and some questions that we have already populated, some questions that we get often. And these are some wonderful advisors. So I definitely encourage you, if you're not utilizing your Access Advisor, you can check out our website, accesscollege.org, and you can find all contact information for all advisors serving in those high schools. All right, well, tonight we'll just go ahead on and start it quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that pretty much is, what is FAFSA? What is the FAFSA?
So FAFSA, it stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And so that is the financial aid document that you will complete online in order to receive any type of financial aid, any type of monies. That's loans, grants, scholarship from the state and for the government, as well as institutional scholarships from the colleges that your senior is applying to. Please make sure, if you haven't, reach out to your Access Advisor to help with completing that document. Things change every year, and sometimes it can be confusing. Even if yourself as a parent have been to college, things may have changed from the last time you've entered college. So just make sure that you complete that document. That is what FAFSA means, Free Application for Federal Student Aid.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saki. A follow-up question to that. So when is the best time to submit a FAFSA?
I'll answer that question. As we all know, or if you don't know, the FAFSA did open up on October the 1st. You do want to submit the FAFSA as soon as possible. Reason being, things always get in the way. This process can go a lot of different ways for a lot of different students, just because no two situations are exactly alike. So the earlier you start on the FAFSA, the better. Most schools do have priority filing deadlines. So you do want to, once again, file as early as possible so you don't come into the situation where you do miss out on obtaining the most financial aid humanly possible. Always tell my students, I love to have the FAFSA completed before Thanksgiving break. We should not be taking this past Thanksgiving. If we can meet that deadline, we're putting ourselves in an absolute amazing place in the financial aid process. But once again, it did open up on October the 1st. I always tell my students before Thanksgiving break.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hall. Well, another follow-up question to that. Because I know there are we get this question a lot, and is my parents make too much money? I don't qualify for FAFSA. Should I fill this out? Why do I need it? Mr. Hall, Mr. Apollos Hall, would you like to take that one?
Sure. So I get that. I get that question a lot. You may think that you have too much, or your parents make too much, or your parents may think that they make too much. However, it's still needed because there's something called merit-based scholarships, and now what a lot of schools are not necessarily requiring, but in order for you to be looked at for one of those merit-based scholarships, they are looking for you to at least fill out the financial aid form. So I always tell my students to make sure that we still fill it out just in case. I want to make sure that you are able to, get as much money as you possibly can. And those scholarships are needed, especially now. We understand the climate that we're in. So we want to make sure that we are getting as much money as the colleges will give us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall. All right, Hall, and Saki. I filled out the FAFSA form, the law offices. I filled out the FAFSA form and I got this number in it. What is this number that I got and what does it mean? So, you want me to take it? Okay. So are you talking about the EFC number? Oh, that's what it is, the EFC?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
Let's talk about that. So the EFC is called the Expected Family Contribution. So what this number means, it shows what the colleges think your family will be able to contribute to your education. The lower the number, the more Pell Grant money and other grants that you will be able to qualify for. So for instance, if your EFC is 0, the Pell Grant money that you will receive, I think, is $6,895, if I'm correct. Right. So yeah, so about $6,895 a Pell Grant. Remember, grants it's free money. You do not have to pay that back. So the lower the income level, the more Pell Grant money you will receive. But the higher the income level, then that's where the EFC comes in as well. And that's where they are expecting you, or seeing that, hey, maybe you will be able to also contribute to your son or daughter's financial need in college.
Okay, thank you so much. And Ms. Saki, do I have to know all the colleges that I'm applying to be able to fill out the FAFSA form? Do I have to have already applied to those colleges? What is the correlation between the college application process and then the financial aid process?
So when it comes to completing the FAFSA and college applications, you do not necessarily have to have applied to a college to add that school on the FAFSA. You can go ahead and add that school on the FAFSA, even if you have not already applied. And also, if you can add up to 10 on the FAFSA. If you have more than 10 schools, which happens sometimes with our students, then what you can do is submit that FAFSA with the schools that you already did. And then what you'll do is wait a few days and go back in and add more colleges. And the ones that you previously already added to your FAFSA, they will have already been reached into the financial aid offices of those original added colleges. So yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Gabe Hall. Once I complete the FAFSA form, what am I really waiting for? What should I expect a college to send me, and how does that process work?
Great question, Mr. Kelly. Well, parents and students, if you're on this call, a couple of things must happen first. The most important thing is you must be accepted into the college for the FAFSA to really have a meaning for your particular situation as it pertains to that university. Filing the FAFSA, obviously, great. Financial aid comes with it, but you must be accepted into the college for that school's financial aid office to actually start processing your FAFSA. So once you're actually accepted into a college, and let's just use Cornell University. I'm not even going to use an in-state college, right? We always use Virginia Tech, UVA. So we'll say we'll go Ivy League tonight. So let's say you've been accepted into Cornell University. You filed your FAFSA. There's another document that we may talk about later on called the CSS profile. They will look at both of these documents for Cornell University once you've been accepted, and they will generate what's called a financial aid award package. This is the major piece of information from a financial aid standpoint that you're waiting on. That is, once again, jump-started by you filing the FAFSA and obviously any other financial aid documents for that particular university. This financial aid award package will normally be on the student's account. So after you've applied to a college, you will more than likely get an email telling the student, please, make sure that you make your school account. They will give them the instructions. They will make their school account. This is how they will be checking their admissions decision, but this is also how they will be checking and notified that they have received their financial aid award package. But once again, please don't expect any financial aid award packages to be sent or, preliminary or otherwise until you've been accepted. And 2, please don't expect financial aid award packages to come until, honestly, sometime between January and March for your bigger colleges and universities. Don't be alarmed. Yes, you're filing the FAFSA early. Why can't I hear back early? Unfortunately, financial aid offices, they put pressure on us to be early, but they're going to come a little bit later on in the process. So please understand that you've done the right thing. Now you just have to play the waiting game, but don't be alarmed if you don't hear back from a school that you've been accepted to from financial aid purposes until somewhere between, I would even venture out to say, February and late March.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall. And we all look like bobbleheads. We're all saying yes to what Mr. Hall said.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a question on the floor that I would love Mr. Apollos Hall to answer for us. I intend to use the post 9/11 GI Bill to help fund college. Does that count against our ability to get financial aid? Or is it assumed that the GI Bill money goes towards the EFC?
No, it does not count against your ability to get financial aid, although a lot of people think that it does. And the reason is because with the GI Bill, you may have multiple children, or you may want to use it for yourself, right? And in any of these situations can happen. I always tell them to make sure that they file the financial aid, because the GI Bill does not count against that. Once we know what school that we're going to, then each school, most of the schools anyway, have what's called a VA office, a Veterans Affairs office. Once we know what school we're going to and we know how much GI Bill money we're going to allot to our students, then we contact the VA office. They're going to have us contact, or have you as parents contact the VA Benefits Center. And then you're going to get what's called a COE, or it's a COE, and I forgot the correct name for it. But anyway, what that letter says is it says how much GI Bill money you have, how much you are giving a student, how many months you still have to use it, etc. Right? And then you and the Veteran Affairs Office will be able to say, okay, we're going to allot this much money to this student for this year, and you would do that every single year, actually every single semester. That's further on down the process, but to answer it simply, no, it does not affect your financial aid. Please file financial aid. I will say this: do not put in there that you are using the GI Bill, and the reason is because anything can happen. So if you put in there that you are using the GI Bill, what I have seen sometimes is that some schools will assume everything's good. They don't really need to package you a certain way because you're going to use a GI Bill, and then come May, something happens, you may want to use it for yourself, and then you're left without much money. So yes, I would definitely fill out FAFSA, contact the Veterans Affairs Office once everything is taken care of.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall, for that answer. And you answered the question in so many different ways.
I'm sorry, Mr. Arthur, Certificate of Eligibility. That's what it's called, COE, Certificate of Eligibility. There we go.
We have another question on the floor, and it's a great segue into scholarships. How do you apply for scholarships? Does the FAFSA assist with that, or is there a list of scholarships? And how early can you apply for them?
I'll take this question. Scholarships are available through a variety of sources. In the city of Chesapeake, I would start with your school counseling office. In Chesapeake, we have an amazing platform called Scholarship View. Every single school has access to it. The great news about it is, guess what? The student's school ID number is their username and password to actually access Scholarship View. Scholarship View is updated by each school, from Great Bridge to Grassfield to Deep Creek to Oscar Smith, literally every single day by the scholarship chair at your school. There's a plethora of scholarships available. Most scholarships, I'll be honest, are going to be geared towards seniors, but there are many opportunities available towards juniors. And also, what I recommend for my juniors is this: take a sneak peek this year and see what scholarships are available for seniors, because guess what? You'll be applying to the same ones next year. So this allows you to, guess what? Prepare for what is to come. Preparing is everything. So once again, even though some scholarships may not be available until your senior year, you will be able to see what is normally going to be available to seniors. But once again, that is Scholarship View. That is on every single, that is offered to every single student in the city of Chesapeake. I know at Deep Creek, we go to our school's website, we click on students, we click on scholarships, we click on Scholarship View. And then the login is the student's ID number, which serves as both their username and password. And this will be the same throughout the board, throughout Chesapeake, when you access Scholarship View. There are also many other platforms: My Scholly, scholarshipsharing.org, FastWeb. There are a plethora of platforms out there. You just need to honestly email your access advisor, or even once again your scholarship chair, and we can easily send you a list of these platforms to be able to access for scholarships. And there are some offered for juniors, but also you want to look at the schools that you are applying to. They will have their own separate scholarships that are geared towards a particular major or a particular school within the college that the student can apply to as well. So once again, many opportunities are available. The FAFSA, in a way, does assist with this, because a lot of scholarship applications, guess what? They require you to file the FAFSA. But in essence, I always tell my students this: the FAFSA is the biggest scholarship you will ever apply to, because guess what? If parents don't make enough money to cover the cost of attendance, that's what the FAFSA is for. So to help parents and families meet that cost of attendance in the form of financial aid. So the FAFSA is essentially the biggest scholarship you will ever apply for, but there are also a lot of other great opportunities that can help subsidize your college education.
Wow. Thank you so much for that information. I hope you guys really utilize that information. One thing I tell my students, Mr. Hall, is to treat applying for scholarships like a fifth class. In Chesapeake, we have a 4x4 schedule. So you know you're going to do those 4 classes for the semester. But I say treat it like a fifth class, where you know that you have to be intentional about applying. We have some very smart students in the city of Chesapeake, and we know that you are going to get in to the colleges that you apply for. Now we have to pay for it. So apply for as many scholarships as possible. So you got to treat it like a fifth class. Next, moving on to college admissions. What are the different types of college admissions? What does this process entail? Like, should I have already applied early to some schools? Are there still some early scholarship or application deadlines? The Common App, all that in between. What is the college application process?
I'll take that one. So with the different deadlines with college applications, we have early decision, which can be binding or non-binding. So make sure if you're senior or your future senior that may be a junior will start to do college applications. Early decision, typically the college is under the impression that if they apply to my school, they're more than likely planning to attend my school. And so usually I tell my students to do at least early action, which early action means you apply early, but you still have till May 1 to decide where you want to go. You have time to compare award letters, who's giving me the most money. So that's usually a popular time, but you apply a little early, but you still get till May to make a decision. Then you have regular decision, which is where you may apply a little later, maybe January, February, March, and you still have till May 1 to make a decision. So that may give a student who may be trying to raise their GPA, since GPAs get updated typically towards the end of January in Chesapeake, they may want to take on the regular decision. Then also we have rolling admissions, where we have schools like VCU and ODU, where maybe their deadline was November, or it might have been January for ODU. So you still have time. If you miss that deadline, you still have time for your application to be still considered and looked at. So whenever you see a school that says we have rolling admissions, that's what that means. And actually on the Common App, VCU, for the students that applied November 1st, the only option on the Common App that you could actually select was rolling admissions, because they know eventually if a student applies a little later than November 1st, you still will be able to be considered, you know, your application to be looked at. So those are the type of decisions. You have early decision, non-binding or binding, and binding is basically a contractual agreement. So you have early decision, binding or non-binding, you have early action, and you have regular decision, and then you also have rolling decision.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saki. And you answered one of the questions that was in the chat. Is there an advantage of getting in your application for early decision, especially if you know exactly where you want to go? And I believe that question was answered. Just know that if you're applying early decision, you can only apply to one early decision school for the binding. That means if you get in, you have to go contractual agreement. So if early decision is not something that you want to do, I would definitely, or we would definitely encourage you to apply early action.
And I just want to piggyback off something.
Yes.
Some schools do have an application deadline called restrictive early action. This is non-binding, but what it does is it only allows the student to apply early action to other public institutions. You can no longer apply early action to other private institutions, and you cannot apply early decision, which is binding, to any other college. So they will specify this in the application if it is a restrictive early action school. One school that comes to mind that is restrictive early action is Yale. So any student that's applying to Yale, which is an Ivy League, they do have restrictive early action. And what we say, oh, it's non-binding. But what it does is the language inside of the agreement says, hey, this is non-binding, but you cannot apply to any private institutions early action. So any schools, UVA, I'm thinking, well, excuse me, UVA is not private, it's public. So let me back up on that. But any other private colleges, University of Richmond, that offer any early action or early decision deadlines, you cannot apply because, once again, they are not public institutions. So please be mindful of applying to restrictive early action schools. Just keeping in mind that it takes away your opportunity to apply early action or early decision anywhere else. And Notre Dame is also a restrictive early action school, by the way.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Hall, for that information. This is up for any panelists. We get this question a lot, and I've been getting this question a lot from students that come into my office is, okay, Mr. Kelly, test optional. Should I be like, do I really need to, or do they really need the scores, or do they will really accept me if I don't submit scores? Can someone shed some light to the test optional, and then also add on supplemental materials as a whole?
Yeah,
I will take on. I'm sorry, Pause. Go right ahead.
No, go ahead, Gabe. You got it.
How about this? I just want to pause. I'm just going to tackle test optional. You can talk about supplementals, or you can piggyback. I just want to say this about test optional. If your scores do not enhance your profile, meaning they do not add to the value, you need to go test optional. There are many students that have great GPAs and have performed well, but unfortunately do not test, I would say, in the middle 50% of the range of what that school is looking for from an ACT or SAT perspective. That does not help your case. Admissions officers cannot unsee scores. They are trained to be able to review applications in a test optional atmosphere, but if you do submit scores, they can't unsee them. So you will be evaluated based upon test scores submitted or evaluated upon going test optional. If you are not in the middle 50% of the range for that school, for the SAT or ACT, and guess what? The colleges will post their SAT and ACT ranges. You really want to strongly consider going test optional. Now, hindsight being 2020 on this as well, if you have a lower GPA that is outside of what is recommended for that college, I'll give an example. I'll use Cornell again. So Cornell, if you have a 3.5 GPA, and let's say your SAT score is a 1370, which is unfortunately not in the 50 percentile for Cornell University, to have the best chance of being considered for Cornell, you still need to submit that standardized test score because your GPA is not high enough to stand on its own, if that makes sense. And once again, your counselors can can obviously give you more insight on a case-by-case basis. But when it comes to test optional, if you have a strong GPA, you're in SMA, you're in IB programs, all these amazing programs that we have in the city of Chesapeake, and you have performed well in the highest rigor, AP, or dual enrollment, you really want to consider going test optional if you are not at least in that middle 50%. Anything below that, you really want to strongly consider going test optional.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, and this is going to be on the other side. What I've seen is we do have a lot of the AP students, some IB students, some really high achieving students see the test option. And they say, well, that means I don't need to take the test, right? And just like Mr. Hall was saying, yes, I think that you should take the test. Now it's a win-win, right? Because if you take it and you score well, then we can use those scores. If you don't score as well, then we don't have to worry about it. But what I've seen this year is a lot of students saying, well, since it's test optional, then I just don't want to even try. So let me tell you a scenario I saw last year, and I'm not gonna say the college, but I saw last year, and I had a talk with one of the people at the college. I'm just gonna say that there was a student, very high GPA, very, very, very high GPA, and going against another student, right? Also high GPA. Both of them ended up getting in, but the student that took the SAT and scored well and sent it in actually got more money. See, what we're not seeing is that also the SAT can also help us get more money. Yes, it is test optional to be admitted, but the schools are also looking at the SAT for money purposes. So for that reason, I think that everybody should still take it. Now, again, if you don't score well, like Mr. Hall said, don't have to worry about it. But if you score well, not only can it help you get into some of these schools, but it can also help you when we're talking about scholarships and extra money to be able to pay for those as well. As far as supplemental material, I know a lot of y'all don't want to do the essays. I know a lot of y'all don't want to do those things. I get it, right? Senior year can be overwhelming. It's a lot of things. Most of y'all had senioritis last year, right? So, okay, I get it. However, you always want to look at it as it's you versus one other student. And if it ever comes down to that for your dream school, and they have all of the materials in that they need, and you look at it and it says, well, these are optional, so I'm not going to do it. If I'm looking at it and I'm the admissions counselor and it's just between you two, everything else is the same, now I need to figure out a way to separate the two. So one has all of the supplemental materials that they need, the essays, etc. One doesn't because it said optional. Who do y'all think I'm going to choose, right? So make sure that even if it says optional, I know it's going to be a little bit of extra work, but just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. This process, it can be overwhelming, but I want y'all to understand it's temporary. So just, keep it easy. Let's relax a little bit because it will all be over soon. And then the real problem starts, which is the waiting game. That's what y'all need to worry about, not this. Just make sure you get in what you need to get in.
I just want to add just a little to both of what the Halls brothers have just said, especially Apollos. With that essay, the students, they love optional, especially when it's nothing, extra work on what they already doing. What I tell my students at Indian River, like Apollos and Mr. Gabriel Hall just said, is that, listen, outside of, the school knows you are a great student. You may play a sport, you may do community service, you may be in the drama club, you may do all these things, right? Or maybe you help so much at home. But if you don't do the essay, all the college is going to see is your application, especially for students that may help out a lot at home. There's nowhere to really list that. There's not a way to list that on the activity. So you can use that in the essay option, especially the students that maybe, life happened. Maybe there's accountability and your GPA is a little lower. Well, that essay, you should use that to show, what happened, who you are and what's going on outside of you are the student that's making these grades and you're involved in these things. Please use that essay. I know it's a lot of writing, but I'm just adding on what they already spoke on. So yes.
Thank you so much, everybody. If you are just joined in, you are getting a wealth of knowledge right here from some wonderful Access advisors. If you are in their schools, make sure you see them if you have not. And we had a couple of questions about some other schools. Yes, there are advisors in every high school in Chesapeake. All you have to do is check the accesscollege.org website, and it will take you to some form of contact information for those advisors. All right, guys, I've applied. I got accepted, and now I'm waiting for this award letter that everyone keeps talking about. What could I expect on an award letter? And you know, what does it mean?
I can answer this question. So on your financial aid award letter, in its most simplistic form, you will be notified of the amount of financial aid you will be receiving. It will tell you the amount of grants, which is money you don't have to pay back that you have received if you qualify for them. The amount of scholarship money that you have received from the school. This could be academic. This could be non-academic as well. But once again, any scholarships given directly from the school. And also your allotment of student loans. And also even some schools will offer and say, hey, the parents can also take out student loans on the student's behalf. They will also list the amount available there as well. What a financial aid award letter will not list is the outside scholarships that you may have been currently receiving at that time. They say, oh my goodness, it's not listed. They haven't been notified yet by the scholarship organization that any scholarship money exists. So you will not see any outside scholarship information listed, but you will receive the amount of money that the school dictates that your FAFSA and any other documentation certifies or believes that you are entitled to for financial aid purposes. So once again, it will show the amount of grants, scholarships, student loans, and also parent plus loans as well. And once again, this amount of financial aid cannot exceed the cost of attendance, but it can go up to the cost of attendance. So for example, if UVA is with room and board, which is housing and meal plan, and tuition and fees is, let's say, $28,000 a year, they will list all the financial aid award on your award letter up to that amount, which is considered the cost of attendance to attend that particular university. But this will be true across the board from all college award packages that you receive.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that really quickly, and this is why options are so important. A lot of students will apply to one or two schools, but the reason why I preach options is because with the financial aid award letter, college, you then understand that college is a two-step process. You get the acceptance letter, but the financial aid award letter for most students is the decision letter, right? Because that will decide really what school you're going to go to based off of how much money you're going to be receiving. So you need to make sure, y'all, that y'all have enough options to be able to, when April comes, March, April comes, you can sit down and you can look at these options. You can look at these different financial aid award letters and see which one is gonna benefit you the most. Remember, college is supposed to benefit you. So which one of these financial aid award letters are gonna benefit you the most and will cause you to come out of school with the least amount of debt, right? So in order to do that, you gotta have options. So apply to more than one or two schools, because that financial aid award letter, that's really the deciding factor for most students.
My name is Arthur Kelly, and I approve that message. So I keep hearing this award letter, but I got something in my email the other day, and it was some V word, verification. And so they said I won't get an award letter yet. What does that mean?
All right, I can handle this one. So verification is something actually you can find out if you're selected for way earlier than parents and students may think. So after you submit the FAFSA, typically around 2 to 3 days, your PDF version, what they call the SAR, Student Aid Report, will be available for you to look at, to download, to apply to scholarships or print out for yourself. And so on that FAFSA, what you can see in that top box, if you see an asterisk by the EFC number, that is one indicator that you have been selected for verification. Then the second indicator, if you look a little bit below that, there will be a sentence that will say you've been selected for verification. So what is verification? So of course, the government, the state, and the college, they're giving this money out. So with this money they're giving out, they got to, of course, verify these funds that they're giving to the students and parents. And, later they get audited, so they have to have verification of these documents. Verification is random. So there's not a target on your back to say, you just chose me to get targeted. No, it's just to verify what's on the FAFSA. And so what documents they may ask for is a copy of your 2021 taxes or a tax transcript. And they may also ask you to fill out a verification worksheet that will be on their website. And so with that being said, with the verification process, you'll typically will get an email from the school, but you can find out on your own quicker by your submitted FAFSA if you've been selected. But it's just a random number where they select every number of FAFSAs where you may get selected, where you have to provide some documentation somewhere. I will say students that are deemed independent, meaning there's not a biological or step parent on a FAFSA, you will be automatically selected for verification.
No way around it. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, we only have a few more minutes and we have the open floor to any questions. We know that that through this course of this year, there have been a lot of challenges and everything. So if you definitely need help filling out the FAFSA form, you need to see an Access advisor. We offer free help to fill out the FAFSA form. We can answer questions. If you feel like you messed up or you just want somebody to look over it, this is what we're here for. So make sure you reach out to an Access advisor. It is fine if you do it on your own, get it submitted. But one thing that you want to look out for it to say process successfully. That's the verbiage you want to see when you submit the FAFSA. We wish you well in applying for colleges. We believe that you are going to be great candidates for the schools that you are going to apply to. Please do not put all your eggs in one basket. As Ms. Saki was saying, keep your options open, as Mr. Hall says, and that financial aid award letter should be a very important form for you guys because it should allow you to see what you have to pay out of pocket and what you're going to receive from a college, and it hopefully will help you make your decision on where you want to go. The national deadline for letting the college know where you want to go is typically May 1st. Some schools that are enrolling admissions, they accept by bed. So they're trying to fill the amount of beds they have on campus. So they might still be accepting past that date, but typically the national deadline is May 1st. All right, we have two more questions and then we'll end this panel for tonight. I believe I have made a mistake on my daughter's FAFSA. How can I reach my Access advisor? If you can just type your school in there, we can point you in the right direction of who your Access advisor is. Also, if I receive a full ride scholarship, do I still fill out a FAFSA form? Good question. Anyone want to take that?
I would still recommend that you fill out your FAFSA. Once again, let's say you receive a full ride scholarship. I don't want to assume, but let's say for all intents and purposes, this is an athletic scholarship. Until you have signed your national letter of intent, everything's still on hold. I've done this from a personal standpoint, and I've also dealt with this with many student athletes in the past. Once again, I'm assuming that you're possibly a student athlete when we say full ride scholarship. So until you've signed your national letter of intent, which guarantees your scholarship for 1 year, not 4 years, but 1 year, then I would still file your FAFSA. But also, if you qualify for the federal Pell Grant and you file your FAFSA, even if you receive a full athletic scholarship, you are still entitled to receive your federal Pell Grant. And once again, that is money you do not have to pay back. So even if you receive a full ride scholarship, you are still allowed to receive your federal Pell Grant in this full allotment as a student athlete. Once again, without more information, I'm assuming that you are possibly a student athlete. But let's say it's an academic full ride scholarship. Because we don't know, what particular school you're going to. Let's say, you think it may be a full ride, but there still may be some money left over, et cetera, pertaining to the cost of attendance. Do the FAFSA to cover your bottom line. Once again, if the cost of attendance is $67,000, they gave you 64. Guess what? The FAFSA may help you get that additional 3,000. So without more information, I would say definitely want to make sure that you file your FAFSA. And also, I see a question there. Who was the advisor for Deep Creek High School? That would be me. That would be me. So just please send me an email, especially if you have a senior at Deep Creek High School. You need more information regarding the FAFSA. Please email me at ghall, that's GHALL, at accesscollege.org. You can find this on our Access website, or you can also find my email address on our Chesapeake Public Schools website as well. Once again, my email address is ghall@accesscollege.org.
And just to do a quick thing, for those who get an academic full ride, for instance, let's say you get the Questbridge Scholarship, which gives you a full ride to a lot of these different high-level schools. You still have to file the FAFSA. So I think what we're all trying to say is file the FAFSA, file it. You know, it will only help you. It definitely won't hurt you. But even if you get a full ride academically, Gabe knows a lot more about the full ride on the athletic side. He also went through that. But for the academic side too, you know, definitely file the FAFSA because the schools still require you to do so.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And in the words of Sound of Music, as we turn this back over to Miss Sarah, so long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, good night. We hate to go and leave this lovely site, but good night. Sarah, take it away.
That is the best pass back I've ever received. So thank you. I want to thank our wonderful panelists. I hope you enjoyed their presentation as much as I did, their insight and their knowledge that they shared with you tonight. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 5-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Don't forget to go and sign up for more sessions that are beginning right at the top of the hour. So just in a few minutes, and you'll have a chance to connect with a variety of different colleges and universities there. And all this session's recording and all of the sessions recordings will be available at strivescan.com/Chesapeake. Thank you and have a great rest of your evening.